how to place your slab for the drape mold. So just a reminder that the drape mold is where you have your mold and you place the slab on top. So it's on top of it. So what you're first going to need is your slab that you should have already rolled out. You need your mold that is covered with the plastic wrap. Again, we're going to be putting the slab on the top here. Why the plastic wrap? That is so the slab doesn't get stuck to the mold, especially when you have to remove it later on. So you want to make sure that this slab was definitely wide enough where it's going to go over it. And I'm going to show you how to trim it later on. You'll also need your small little sponge. You'll need possibly a cutting tool of some sort. You might also need your ribbon, your needle tool, as well as some slip. So what I'm going to do is I've just rolled this out. It's nice and soft. So I need to gently place it on the mold. Different view here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to carefully drape this on top, and I wanted to show it from this angle. So I'm going to just carefully put it on here. And I don't want to just force it on because I might end up ripping the slab and then we have a problem. So I'm just going to gently push along here, and you're going to notice it may not cover it very neatly. Like I'm getting this weird thing here, but I'm going to show you how to actually deal with these bumps. It's not the end of the world. I'm going to gently place it on here, just gently pushing it on. And you're going to be smoothing out the slab later on, so it's okay if you see some fingerprints. Now I got a couple areas I can deal with. I can pick this up a little bit to help kind of coax it down there. And I'm just using my hands. All right, so I've got this funny weird shape here that I do need to deal with. Kind of looks like a little igloo. But what I need to do is I need to actually cut this, because if I try just pushing it down, it's not going to go down. It doesn't want to, right? It's extra clay. This is a big circular piece of clay. So what I can do, one, I can definitely kind of isolate it as best as I can. And okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cutting tool, my fettling knife, and I'm going to cut into it. Made a big incision right here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to fold it on itself. Easy. But we do need to score and slip because we are overlapping the clay. We don't want to accidentally trap any air. We do this out of precaution. And we're going to add some slip to this. Just using my finger for this. And then going to overlap it on itself and use my hand to just push it down. I'm just being gentle. I'm not karate chopping it. I'm just making sure it's overlapping. Now, what's going to happen is this is going to get pretty thick. So you will need to actually smooth it out. Again, just using your hand. Again, this, as long as the clay is plastic, totally doable. All right, I have pretty much hidden that, though I am going to have to go back and deal with this when we flip it over. So the next step is trimming it. Now, you shouldn't just take the cutting tool and just cut all the way around because you don't know where the edge is. You kind of have to go back and forth, up and down. New view. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to use my fettling knife to cut off the areas that I know do not have any of the actual mold. So you can save these pieces and use them for your coils. So I'm not cutting at the edge of the mold yet. I'm just cutting off where I know the edge of my mold would end. I'm not cutting off the edges yet. All right. So I have this shape. So what I can do is take it upside down and kind of see what's going on here. Like that I'll have to deal with because there's a fold there. So I'm not going to worry about that yet right now. So I could just trim it. The problem is the clay is soft and it's going to want to fall outward. We don't want it to fall outward, so we got to be gentle. And what we can do, we can cut carefully at the edges, but I don't want to ruin any of the slab that's on it. So I'm actually going to go back this way. And I'm going to carefully cut just along the edge. And I'm just going to kind of pull these off in pieces. I'm not going to try to cut it as if it's like a cookie cutter, but you also might have to do a little bit of sneaking around just to see what's back there. So I'm just going to cut parts of this here. Yeah, because see, if I cut outside of this, see how it wants to just fall off? We don't want it to fall off. We don't want to remove this slab until we're done putting all our coils on. So yeah, you can see it's a little rough. We'll get that cleaned up. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it this way because that's the way I'm used to doing it for this drape mold. You see how I'm doing it in pieces because the clay is pretty soft. Okay, so what I've done now is I have trimmed all the excess area off. I can take this way and I can kind of inspect and see what's going on. Eesh, that's okay. We're going to cover this up with coils anyways. Right, a little rough around the edges. But what we should do next is smooth this out. So to smooth it out, just take your small sponge, add some water to it, and you can smooth this out. You're just smoothing out all the fingerprints. Yes, this is going to be covered with coils, but we just want to smooth everything out in case we made any indents. And you don't want the clay, you don't want the slab to curl inward. Some students have done that in the past, and the problem is it makes it very difficult to remove this later on. So I do not suggest taking the clay and curling it over into the bowl itself. That's going to make it so much harder when you want to remove it from the mold, because this has to stay on until your bowl is leather hard with the coils on it. So do not remove this from the mold. So what I'm doing here is I'm just smoothing this out using the moisture that was on the clay, and I'll just add a little bit of water to it. I'm just smoothing this out. This is really bad, but I'm going to cover it up with coils. So I will then clean that up. And yes, you're already probably thinking, well, when we remove it from the bowl, what do we do? Okay, we're not there yet. We will remove it from the bowl eventually. But we want to remove it once you're done putting your coil design and it's all complete and it's all secure and your bowl itself is leather hard. So do not remove it from the mold. But there we go. That is our completed drape mold. And your next step is adding your coils.